Hello, friends. Welcome to our YouTube channel. This is Karthik Venkatrama.
This is Afreen.
Today, we're going to be talking about the latest release, Jigra. I mean, it's released a week back, but we couldn't watch the movie because of Hurricane. And we caught up the movie on Thursday and we decided to talk about it. Now, let's start with the positives of the movie. And Afreen, would you want to start on the positives of Jigra?
Positive is the star cast, I guess. With Alia Bhatt as the lead, you kind of want to see what she's doing next. I think this is her first movie after her motherhood. So she still looks like a teenager and she has this very sincere personality and she brings that to the movie. So you always feel like, okay, this is a sincere girl, this is a talented girl, and she looks good. So, you want to watch the movie because of that. Also, the subject is a little bit different, right? Like, we haven't seen a prison break movie as such in Hindi movies. I don't remember.
Gumrah, Devi movie. Anyways, yeah.
It was ages ago, right? It was
Right,
decades
right.
ago. So, and I don't know if Gumrah was brother sister thing or
No, no,
not.
no. It wasn't a brother sister thing.
So here we have a brother sister duo. So yeah, that was the premise is good, the story is good, and yeah, you get people in the theater just to see Alia Bhatt. So and the story is, I mean, I felt it was a good story.
True. I agree with you. I mean, I've been a very big Alia Bhatt fan for quite some time now. I remember watching Highway and how much I was bowled over by her performance. And in every single movie, she's been doing something which connects to me emotionally, and I root for her character usually. And even in this movie, I completely agree with you. I think that she's wonderful and she's given her best. As you mentioned, she's sincere, and you see that effort from her end that she wants to do her best to make the movie a little more interesting, engaging. She has quite a big role in this movie, and she's got a lot of action to do, and most of the weightlifting is done by her technically, right? So yes, she was brilliant. I loved Manoj Pahwa. I don't know, I I have a bias towards him. I've always loved him as an actor. He's been in that series called Office, and since then I've always liked him, whatever role he does. And he does a lot of these Anubhav Sinha movies where he plays these grey characters and sometimes different characters, not just comedian. Even in this movie, it's not a comedy role, although when he's there on the screen, you have a smile on your face. So I love both these actors in the film. And as you mentioned, the premise was pretty different. It is not one of the regular movies, and you have a jailbreak, and you they have created a world. And I know you usually talk about world building in all your reviews, and I think it's so important. World building is what makes or breaks the movie. If you're able to get people into that world, then you have the movie works, right? So I think they did a good job as far as world building. The country that they have spoken about, apparently it's a fictional country, but it is based on Singapore. They do have such a prison, but there has never been such a jailbreak. And hence the director decided to not base it on Singapore because it would be wrong information. They would be like, there has never been a jailbreak in our country before. So they created this fictional city based on Singapore and based on the Singapore laws. Another good thing about the movie, as for me, is it's very intriguing all through the movie. You're engaged. There's something happening and a lot of things happening in the movie. It keeps you engaged.
You're engaged, but you're not like edge of the seat engaged. You're not like,
Yeah,
oh my God, what's going to happen? Are they going to get killed? Like, are they what is going to happen? Like, you're not at the
yeah.
edge of your seat. You're engaged in a relaxed manner. Like, ठीक है,
True.
कुछ
That we will be talking about once we talk about the negatives. As far as the positives are concerned, it
नहीं।
does keep you engaged, whatever level of engagement, but it's not boring because in US you don't get an interval. You are always tempted to go out, bring the tub of popcorn, or take a loo break. So I didn't feel like doing any of these things during the movie. So that's one positive thing about the movie. And so three positive things in my opinion: Alia Bhatt, Manoj Pahwa, uh, decent world building, and decent level of engagement. It doesn't
Yeah.
bore you. So that is the positive part of the movie, the negative part. And once again, I really wished to love this movie because it has got Alia Bhatt in it. It is made by a director who's just trying to set his foot in the industry. I have empathy towards such directors. I want them to do well. So you want this movie to be good, right? And I went with those intentions. Yeah, I wanted to like the movie. I was a little disappointed. In my opinion, what didn't work for me is the emotional connect, and I think you would want to elaborate on that, right?
I mean, if it's a sister brother, that's kind of a universal relationship, universal emotion. So we should have, we didn't, I mean, there is so much shown in the backstory regarding to her father's thing, but somehow it's like we are not emotionally that connected with the brother sister relationship. It's not making us emotional. Let's say that movie with Kabir Khan, where we know that India is going to get the World Cup. We are still feeling emotional. and we are still crying, and we are still like, we know the end, but the reality gets suspended during those 2 hours, and you kind of like totally give into the emotions of the characters and the story. So that doesn't happen here, and I'm not sure why it doesn't happen. Probably,
I yeah, sorry.
could it be that Vedant did not come across as a bechara, in the
Yeah.
sense that initially when he goes to the jail, he still has a little bit of attitude. I felt it never felt like a hopeless situation. I think that hopelessness did not get narrated properly, and that is why we don't feel like I should have been the sister to this brother, and I should have felt like, oh my god, let me save him. That's what usually happens, right? You become the protagonist, and you're like, okay, let me begin. I am Alia, and I'm going to save him, and I will do this, and I will do that. Why isn't she doing this, and why isn't she doing that? So
Right.
yeah, yeah, go ahead, Karthik.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, for me, Vedant's performance did work. I will be honest with you about it. I think there's something about his eyes. I mean, it's stupid to be critical about someone's eyes, but his eyes were conveying that he doesn't care much. The other thing is that maybe it's the way the movie was shot or the bonding, the chemistry between Alia Bhatt and Vedant in the initial scenes. And you see, there are those scenes which are set up to build that chemistry, right? But it never strikes, she says, let's play basketball. And she's like, you should eat. But it sounded so unemotional. The whole thing was like, yeah, she keeps saying that she loves him a lot, and you keep seeing it in her eyes in her performance. But it's never established very strongly that there is such a wonderful bonding. You just have to assume it. So you are not into the movie completely. Yes, this guy is inside the jail and something should happen. And the other thing is that the vibe that the movie gives throughout, from the start till the end, it is trying to be one of those realistic movies where the style of the movie is realism and everything about the movie seems so realistic, and then there are such impossible things happening in the movie, which is okay when the setting is such, right? When the setting is over the top, you accept the illogical part of it. I know that the movie is supposed to be so exciting that at every moment you're going to be like, oh no, and that's why it has to keep getting more and more impossible. But in this movie, whenever something happens which is a little illogical or which is a little challenging, you're not, oh no, you're like, really? That was the expression I was coming with, really? You're showing me this? Like, for one example, right, when Vedant is about to be electrocuted, the whole setting of that scene is, it's almost there. They pull the plug on him or whatever they are doing, right? And just at that moment, you have that scene where Alia Bhatt enters. This scene is supposed to give you goosebumps. It didn't give me goosebumps. I was like, really?
So
That
was
was
it
my
like
expression
the
throughout.
background music, something
A
lacking
lot
in?
of the scenes, the way it was set up, the way it was shot, the color grading, and the overall look of the film, the feel of the film was not the kind where you go with over the top and illogical kind of, you don't accept it wholeheartedly when
Mm.
it is shot in that way, when it looks the way it looks, right? And minimalized using of background sound, background music, especially, all of that gives you that feel of a realistic thriller kind of movie. It could have been a very smart movie if they wanted to make it in the genre. It should have been very smart the way the jailbreak happens. And in fact, there is one jailbreak that happens. So there are two jailbreaks, right? One that Alia Bhatt is trying and one which the inmates are trying. The
Yeah.
inmates, the jailbreak that they try was a little logical and was a little bit of. It didn't seem so over the top, which I accepted. I know they wanted the Alia Bhatt jailbreak to be over the top. It is intentional. They didn't do it unintentionally, but it didn't work. I think for the kind of movie that they were trying to make or the setup that they had, they should have gone for a smart jailbreak than a over the top jailbreak. That is my opinion, because of which I didn't connect. So emotional connect, as you mentioned, and the setup of the movie didn't work for me.
I
To be
feel like it couldn't have been a smart jailbreak because the characters, none of them are smart. Alia is not that kind of smart that she would have done a electronics breakdown, something stops working. She's like, Udado. Unless they built a team which had a smart person in it, which could have been ideal and smart and edge of the seat again. Instead, it's just she and two more people, right? Manoj, Pahwa, and the other guy. So there aren't smart people involved. If there aren't smart people involved, how can you expect a smart solution to this problem, right? So you
Yeah.
get like a gunda solution to a problem.
And the sadistic jailer angle also didn't work for me. The movie kept reminding me of Gadar 2. I remember telling you this during the movie as well. So Gadar 2 has a similar premise. It's not a jailbreak as such, but Sunny Deol's son caught in Pakistan and he's about to be executed. And that's when Sunny Deol crosses the border. He comes to Pakistan and he rescues his son. there are a lot of over the top scenes. In fact, the whole movie is over the top, right? And but
Yeah,
you
but you
expect
accept it
that.
for Sunny. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus the setup is such, the music is such, the
Hmm.
scenes are such, and then the audience is also such. The kind
Yeah.
of audience who's going to go for a Gadar 2 is not the audience that is going to go for a Jigra. So most of the people who are going to go for a Jigra are like, what are you showing me? And the audience that would have preferred to watch a movie like Gadar 2 are not even going to attempt watching Jigra because it doesn't have that look, feel, that would attract that kind of audience, right? So, but there are so many similarities with Gadar 2. The jailer or the guy who's supposed to execute Sunny Deol's son from Pakistan, he becomes so obsessed with killing Sunny Deol's son that he chases him almost till the time he reaches the India border, and then that's where he's executed. A very similar scene happens, but that looks so much out of place. The whole statism of this jailer, while it would have worked in the initial parts are good. Initially the statism worked for me, but in the second half of the movie, especially towards the climax, it felt a character from a Gadar 2. It didn't feel the character from this movie, this universe. I completely understand what Vasan Bala was trying to make. He was probably trying to make a masala movie within this setup. That was his attempt, actually. It just didn't work. But I'm sure he set out to make that. He did not want to make an intelligent jailbreak. He wanted to make an over the top jailbreak. He wanted to show the heroism of the female protagonist, who is Alia Bhatt. He
Hmm.
wanted her to do all the logic defying things. It was very intentional. None of this was unintentional. He wanted the villain to be sadist and like the villains of the 80s, right? The Hindi movies from 80s. A lot of his inspiration from is from 80s and 70s. You keep hearing the background sound of Amitabh Bachchan movies like Agnipath and Zanjeer. In fact, the songs of Zanjeer have also been used. So he wanted to make the 70s, 80s kind of over the top melodramatic movies, but within this setup. He tried and he succeeded in making the kind of movie he wanted to make. So think about this. Karan Johar was convinced about it. Alia Bhatt was convinced about it. So many great talents were convinced about the potential of this movie. So what does that mean? He somehow managed to connect with Karan Johar and Alia Bhatt. It is just that the audience watching the movie could not connect at that level. Once again, it's not a bad movie. The reason I'm saying this is if it was a bad movie, we wouldn't even be talking about it. It is a decent movie which had the potential to be better. It had its pluses, but overall, when you come out of the theater or even when you're in the theater, you have that feeling, yeah, I'm a little disappointed. काश मजा आता इसमें मजा आने के लिए
हाँ,
बहुत सारी
मजा नहीं
चीजें थी
आया।
इसमें हाँ
Yeah.
बहुत सारी चीजें थी जिससे मजा
Yeah.
आ सकता था
Yeah.
there were things that brother sister bond, sister saving the brother. I should have been choking with emotions in many of the scenes. Sadly, I was not, in spite of the fact that I love Alia Bhatt. Nevertheless, Alia Bhatt was wonderful in the movie. Manoj Pahwa was superb in the movie. So if you're the kind of people who are okay to watch decent movies, are not the kind who are only going to watch great movies, you can watch Jigra. That's my final comment. Anything from your end?
Watch it once, like, I don't know. I feel really bad when something doesn't work. Like, there is so much money, time, effort is involved in a movie that
Yeah.
it feels really, really sad that it didn't work. But yeah, that intelligence has to be there. Like, even if you want to make it realistic, non-realistic, logic should remain. Like, logic should not go out of the window. So, anyways,
So that's it about Jigra from our end. We're coming very soon with our next review of Vicky Vidya ka wo wala video. Thank you for watching
thank you
us.
guys.